So how am I supposed to know if this hurts again?
Here, you ever just wanted to find out how good flex tape really was? So you grabbed the saw and just as you were about to do the dirty deed you thought, well this hurt. That's where health bars come in, the thing which takes up one whole corner of your vision. People have just always wanted to know when they're gonna die. That's why death is the #1 predicted prediction by fortune tellers, with a 100% success rate. But you see, there's one problem. They're not real. So I guess Beautiful Joe is just a game. Video games love health bars. I mean, what better way is there to break the immersion of your game than to throw up a green line which turns red sometimes? But as much of an eyesore as it may be, a way is needed to show your HP in a video game. That being said, the term HP was first used by the tabletop RPG Dungeons & Dragons. The game's co-creator Dave Anderson wanted the players to control a small party of characters instead of an army of red shirts. But in all tabletop RPGs, the character had 1 hit point and then they were dead. But apparently people don't like having to spend an hour creating a new character after the first one walked into a table 5 minutes into the game. So health points were created to stop characters from dying instantly, but also to keep some stakes in the game. And thank goodness, I mean, nobody wants immortality. And when the video games industry first rolled around, the question was obviously not, will there be health bars? I mean, come on. The games industry was having a hard enough time explaining what a video game was to consumers. I mean, have you seen the old Magnavox Odyssey commercials? I still don't know what I bought. The first game to use hit points was Rogue, which used fractions to represent your health. I've got to be honest, I'd never heard of this game before this, and I've played some pretty rare games in the past, like for example Super Mario 64, but you see, this is rare, and this is a Wikipedia page. But around this time, most of the video games industry was in the arcade. Now, while yes, consoles like the Atari 2600 did exist at this point, the games for them are basically just mobile games, but better looking, and the people that play them aren't on a "how quickly can I go bankrupt" challenge. But I mean, come on, the arcade was where it was really at, and how did they use this new foreign technology? They didn't. Instead, they opted for a life system, in which if the player got hit once, they died. This is because if they hadn't given you a life bar, then who knows, you might have actually been able to beat the game. Companies can't have you do that, they might not get the other 10p in your pocket. But you see, this might be good from a business perspective, but think of the moral consequences this could have on children. Instead of thinking, don't waste your life on something stupid as you've only got one, now they're thinking, who cares if I die? I've got enough money, then I can just buy a new one. Now, while this may be true, I don't think anyone that is in the top 1% is going to be caught alive in an arcade. But then, in that same year, the NES was released, saving video games as a whole, and all because of a red and green duo, the health bar. Because, you see, the video games industry have been doing some anti-consumer things like not including health bars. People had lost trust, and the industry crashed. Everyone was willing to give it another chance though. And what do? They released Super Mario Bros, which didn't have a health bar, but you could find a power-up which gives you 2 hits. I can predict there's going to be a crash of 86. But luckily, there was a few companies with their heads screwed on, and so, in 1986, The Legend of Zelda, one of the most important games of all time, was released, with hearts representing your life, and you could collect more to increase your total, and thus, the video games industry was cured from all its scummy practices. Companies were starting to change their minds about video game health bars, and many were starting to implant them into their own games, such as Castlevania. Mega Man went a bit wild with vertical health bars, even Kirby had one. A game so easy it didn't even need one, but hey, I'll take it. Though there were quite a few games which didn't have one, so it was pretty easy to tell which developers cared for you and which ones didn't. So at the end of this era, health bars became a pretty standard rule. But where there's rules, there's troublemakers. And the most notorious in gaming was Sonic the Hedgehog. You know that kid who says he'll do something to act cool, but doesn't do it properly in fear of getting into trouble with the teachers? Yeah, that's Sonic. Okay, so you put in a system where if you get hit once, you die. But then, you put in this stupid ring system where if you have 1 ring, you don't die. If you're going to cause trouble, then just commit to it. Luckily, these were few and far between, as most developers realised the greatness of health bars and how they could even create whole new genres. Could you imagine the RPG without health bars? I don't think you'll be getting to Alderaan anytime soon. The fighting game genre is just 2 health bars fighting each other, and the beat 'em up ruins my power fantasy by giving regular enemies health bars too. But all in all, things were good. Health bars reigned supreme. Nearly every game had a coloured line which represented your health, or something like Zelda's hearts that was pretty specific to that game. However, some games did some wacky things with health bars, like Superman Returns. They gave a health bar to a city. Doom did Wolfenstein's homework, which made the life bar his face. Dead Space made you not even realise you had a health bar by turning Isaac's spine green. Even Super Smash Bros., the biggest gaming crossover of all time, had to go with percentages. Just waiting on decimals then. Nearly everyone was happy with this, though Deadpool decided to disrespect the health bar by bashing someone with it, so he made sure his game got bombed. There were a few genres that also refused to convert, but most of these were pretty niche or dying until... regenerating health. Never have two words more disgusting being spoken. Well, maybe one, but never two. Many games now picked up this disgusting replacement for health bars, where the only indication that you're going to die is the screen flashes red. Then you sit behind a wall for 5 seconds, and then you're fine. What's wrong with you? Are you okay? Why did this have to become so popular within video games all along with everything else that's trying to kill them? Such as sports games. How am I supposed to know that he was going to get injured? There was no health bar. Super Meat Boy isn't hard, it's just the devs were too lazy to design a health bar. Resident Evil, oh, they clutch their side when they're injured? Well, how do we know they're not just faking it? Mario Land 3, we don't even take damage, we're invincible. And then, the worst offender of all, racing games. When was the last time you saw a car with a health bar? And no, Twisted Metal is an arena battle, so it doesn't count.
The health bar was the greatest thing in gaming ever, so why would you try to get rid of it? I say we take a stand together.
Leg. Still some Lego. You wouldn't have change for a tenner, would you?